Hey, I'm Nathan Jones, the CEO and founder of a company called Dash Media, and I'm just thrilled to be able to share with you guys how to use storytelling and social media to help your senior living business. So, I only have 15 minutes. We're going to jump right into it. To start, our three objectives today, we're going to look at the potential of social media, and how that impacts your business. We're going to look at the business side and then the purpose. So, from a potential side of things, unless you're living under a rock, you see social media every single day. The average person right now is spending about 2.5 hours a day on social media, which is sad, but it's the reality of the world we live in. And so, the next thought question around senior living is, um, is it our target audience actually on social media? Yeah, we get a lot of people who use social media, but our older adults on social media. So that number is growing like crazy. Right now, over 52 million 65 plus year olds are monthly active users on Instagram. TikTok, I think it's uh, the last we looked, 16% of Americans aged 60 to 64 are using TikTok. And then when you're looking at jobs and recruiting, TikTok's actually surpassed Google in 2023 as the number one preferred search engine among Gen Z as opposed to Google. So, yes, there's this massive amount of potential. There's this massive audience that is using social media every single day. So, does that actually translate to senior living? And in the slide deck, you'll see that these numbers, this is just based off about 20 operators that we worked with last year. But Instagram, the average number of views per senior living client that we had was 1.5 million. TikTok, 1.4 million. Um, Facebook, a little over 350,000. And then YouTube, around 300,000. So if you break that down by month, that's a lot of people that you're reaching organically. This is all organic numbers without any paid ad dollars behind it. So the way these algorithms are built now is if you create enough good quality content that resonates with your desired audience, so the senior living potential resident or senior living potential worker, someone that could work in your community. If you're making content that they like and watch and engage with, you'll show up in their feed, and it takes time. So, over that time, we made about 3,500 videos. About 500, close to 500 of those got over 10,000 organic views. 23 got over a million, and about 114 got over 100,000. So the point there is you have to post a lot of content to be able to get good quality results. You'll have a lot of videos get a couple of hundred views, a couple thousand views, which is totally fine. Just make sure you set up those analytics and study those analytics to where you see what resonates with your audience, and then you create more of that. The last piece of analytics that I wanted to touch on was testimonials versus stories. We saw the average impression per post for testimonials was about 882 impressions per post when you posted more of a testimonial talking about the community, talking about jobs, things like that. But when you posted a story, it averaged about 11,000 impressions. So if you want to bring people in, you have to tell stories that have nothing to do with your business, but then the testimonials that exist there can then help those stories convert into people actually interested in moving or in or working at your communities. So, what impact does this have? Social media touches everybody. So, when we're looking at staff recruitment, sales leads slash occupancy, getting people interested to then click on and schedule a tour. Some of the more out of the box ways, those were the two obvious to me. Some of the out of the box ideas. If you think about families that see their loved one on Facebook or on Instagram, having their loved one story told in a high quality way, what's the first thing that do you think that they would do when they see that across their timeline? Reshare it. They're going to reshare it to their network and say, look at how happy my dad is living at this community. And what does that do for your business? You're digitizing referrals by them resharing it to their network of family and friends. Those people are now coming to your site to learn more. Culture. If you think about highlighting culture, social media, when we're interviewing staff, when we're interviewing families, when we're interviewing residents, we're getting a lot of positive feedback. When someone who isn't as happy in their role sees all of these stories of joy that exist in your community, it elevates everyone. It makes everyone feel good about their job each and every day. Brand awareness, obviously you're getting a lot of brand awareness when a lot of people watching your videos. And then as an industry, if we all came together to tell these positive stories, we're going to change the perception of aging, change the perception of our industry, which makes everybody win. The execution of this, they're really, when you look at social media, and yes, we want to tell great stories, and I'll tell you our checklist of how to tell if something's a good story or not. But there's really two pathways when it comes to social media on how we're getting this piece of content in front of people. One is called the organic pathway. It's just organic reach. The other is paid ads. Paid ads, you're obviously paying Facebook or TikTok or YouTube a certain amount of money, and they're guaranteeing you a certain number of people will watch that piece of content or view it. Organic is you're just posting and hoping that it's good enough, that the algorithm picks it up, that it shows it to your target market. So our opinion is you can't really be super successful on the paid ad side without spending a ton of money unless you do the organic side really well. Because the first thing that people do when they see an ad is they click on the page to see if there's other content that matches that ad. So first, we want to create really, really high quality, engaging, organic content. How do we do that? Okay, first, every piece of content you post, you should ask yourself, who is the protagonist of this post that I'm sharing? So is the protagonist your organization, or is it the resident, older adult, worker, caregiver, staff person? Who is the protagonist? You're going to attract whoever the protagonist of your story is. So if it's just your organization as the protagonist, the only people you're going to attract is a couple of people at your organization. If your protagonist is your residents and older adults, you're going to attract potential residents. So step one, who is the protagonist of the story you're sharing? Step two is, what does this piece of content make the audience feel something? So the three things that we say is, does it inspire, does it educate or entertain my desired audience? If it does, we approve it. Because the last piece is you got to be patient and consistent. You got to post a lot of video content, and so you can't nitpick every single minor detail on every single piece of content. You really just need to ask yourself, who's the protagonist, and does it inspire, educate, or entertain? And if it does, post it and be patient and consistent. And over time, you'll build an audience that you want, that wants to consume your content. So from the organic side, so when you post a piece of content, it goes into this thing that we call the algorithm. And the algorithm basically says, hey, if we show this piece of content to this certain demographic of people, will they engage with it? And so if they do watch it all the way through, if they share it with a friend, if they like it, if they comment on it, if they save it, all of these metrics are telling the algorithm people in this demographic like this piece of content, so let's show it to more people. If they don't do that, if they don't watch the video all the way through, if they don't like it, if they don't share it with anyone, then the algorithm's saying, okay, that's a bad piece of content, let's stop showing it to people. So it's super important to study these analytics, because when people do watch it, it shows up in more people's feeds, and then what are they doing? They're clicking the username to come to your profile, and that's where you sell. You don't sell in the video or the piece of content. The video is solely designed to capture someone's attention, generate enough interest to get them to come visit your page. Once they're on your page, that's where you can sell. You can put a call to action, you can put a company description, and then you can put a website link to a landing page. So my biggest recommendation is have a landing page that says live here, work here, and people can submit their information if they're interested. So that view turns into a profile visit. That profile visit can turn into a job application or a sales tour if it's set up correctly. If you have multiple communities, list out your communities on the form where they're submitting their information if they have an area that they're more interested in. So I'm putting a video of the CEO of Instagram in here. He talks about how to evaluate the success of organic content.
Quick thought. The engagement rate on your content is more important than your follower count. Now, it's not that your follower count isn't important. It is important. It'll definitely correlate with reach. The more followers you have, the more reach you're going to get on average. That said, a better sign of how well you're doing on Instagram is how many likes you're getting per post, how many views you're getting per reel, how many reshares you're getting per photo or reel or carousel. If your followers are going down but your engagement is going up, that's actually good. That means more people are seeing your stuff. Whereas if your follower count is going up and your engagement is going down, that's much more concerning. So please care about your follower counts, yes, but focus more on your engagement rates. It'll really help over the long run.
There are several things that are hard to track in social media and telling stories, like messages. We get messages all the time. Our clients get messages all the time. 2 years down the road, a video might show up in someone's algorithm, 2 years after we post it, and they come back and watch every single video. I put an example of that in here, but this 61-year-old lady just was blown away at the stories and watched every single video that organization had posted. So once we talked about the organic side of things. Once you post 100 videos, pull the analytics, see which videos had the highest views, had the highest engagement rate, had the most shares, because those videos are going to convert way better on a paid ad to give you a higher conversion rate and more bang for your buck in the ad. So meaning you can spend less dollars and get more conversion than if you just posted a graphic that you created with no analytics before posting that as a paid ad. The other thing it's going to do is when you post this organic video that's been proven successful on the organic side, when people come to your site now and they engage, when they come to your page, they're going to see videos that look just like the paid ad. So they're going to believe it a lot more, which if they believe it a lot more, they trust you. If they trust you, they're willing to submit their information. We did this for a client in Corpus Christi, Texas for a job ad for
No one told you life was gonna be this way. Your job's a joke, you broke. Your love life's the old way. It's like you're always stuck in second gear. When it hasn't been your day, your week, your month, or even your year. But I'll be there for you when the rain starts to pour. I'll be there for you like I've been there before. I'll be there for you 'cause you're there for me
$100. We were able to get them about 92 job leads, email addresses for people interested in jobs, and they ended up hiring an RN and some other staff members from this one ad. So the difference between paid ads and organics too is you can actually add a call to action on paid ads, a call to action link where you can't on organic. So when it shows up in their feed, they'll watch the video and underneath the caption, you can put apply now or learn more or visit website, and people can actually click, which allows you to track the number of clicks on a video. There's a million other ways. So that was a 15-minute quick brief explanation of social media and storytelling. There's so many more ways that you can use these stories and capture these stories. For example, you have a sales tour that's booked, okay? Person comes to your community, they're sitting in your lobby. While they're sitting in your lobby, you could play a montage of all these stories on a loop, on a 15-minute loop, so that they're hearing staff loving their job, they're hearing residents loving the community, they're hearing families loving the community on a loop from a million different voices. So as they're listening to that, you could have a call to action on this TV screen to scan a QR code to follow the account. Well, then when you leave that sales tour now in your feed, that person who came and toured your community, they're going to see stories every single week from your residents and your team members. Also, on the follow-up, your sales director can take a link to a video. Let's say it was a couple that came that said, we're not just, we're not quite ready to move in yet. The timing isn't right. You could send them, as we hear so many times, is I wish I would have moved in sooner. So the sales director in their follow-up could say, you guys remind me just like this couple. You could send a video of a couple with a similar story as a follow-up and say, hey, they were also in your shoes, but they told us now they wish they would have moved in sooner. So you can use these stories to customize sales tours, to customize sitting in the lobby for paid ads, digitizing referrals, for your websites. There's so many areas where these stories can exist, and they're real life. And in a world of AI and where everything can be made at the touch of a button, people want to hear from real people that they can trust, that they had a good experience with your business, your organization. So thank you guys so much. Please connect with me on LinkedIn or shoot me an email at nathan@my-media.com. I'd love to connect and show how we can tell stories and capture your stories and in the end, make a difference through sharing the stories of older adults around the world. Thanks so much.